All right. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining back in for DecoNetwork's tutorial session here on YouTube. My name is Chris, and I'll be hosting today's session. So we do have quite a bit of questions that came in through the blog, which is great, and we've already got some questions coming in through the chat, so we'll make sure to jump on those questions. But first, there is some news that we'd like to cover, and that's the recent release of the first products from the Conde catalog coming in. So we've been working with Conde since earlier in the year to get their products in the DecoNetwork system. There has been a lot of requests from our users to bring those products in. And so we've now started to do that. And the feedback so far is pretty great. So I did want to do a walkthrough on what some of those first products look like. There is a couple steps that you'll have to do uh, before, or rather after you turn on that catalog to make sure that those products are available for customization, so available for your customers to design on. So we can go ahead and jump in. Um, in order to turn on this new catalog, you'll want to jump into the product section of your admin area. From there, you'll choose Select Catalog over here under the Products menu. And you'll see now available down at the bottom of the list is Conde Systems. So you'll turn that on, hit save, and those products will be added onto your site. Now, initially, those products will come into your system. They may not have the option to design right away. Um, and that's because most of these products are using some new material types, uh, or let's say weave types that your processes don't have enabled by default. So if we take a look at transfer, or rather sublimation, which is the process that most of these products will use, is the sublimation process. We can adjust it so that these products will now be available for for sublimation, right? So we can go ahead and jump in. If we take a look at decoration processes, sublimation, and from the sublimation menu, we'll choose Smart Select Rules. So this is the process where we would want to make a change. And what you want to make sure to enable under the material section, you want to enable sublimation ready surface. So most of those products are going to have this as the material type, right? Uh, those are products specifically created with a surface that's ready to be sublimated. So that's why we've applied this sublimation ready surface, even though the product itself, it might be an acrylic block or whatever the case might be. We're interested in the surface that's actually going to be decorated. So we've applied sublimation ready surface. And then the other one that you'll want to turn on, we have weave as a material type or a product attribute. But again, in the case of these products for Conde, most of them don't really have a weave, right? They're not fabric, they're a solid hard surface. And so those will have the other weave type selected. And these two, I believe, are going to be off by default. So that's why we're coming into this screen. We're checking off sublimation ready surface and other under weave. So those two changes alone should take care of enabling decoration for all those new Conde products. So from here, again, you can hit save and it's going to go through and apply those changes to all of your products. All right. So once you've done those two changes, which I've already done on my system here, all the products here that we've just added for Conde will now be available for sublimation. And we can jump in to take a look at my site and see how those are actually going to function in the design tool. Right, so we'll jump in here into the products page, which is where I'm listing my blank products. And we'll go to page 2, I think is where they start to show. Yep, so here's a couple of them, and we'll pull up some of the more interesting ones here. So these are pretty cool, the round ornaments. And what our team has gone in and set up is all of the print locations. And they've gone in and set up, in most cases, a custom mask so that we make sure to knock out any part of the product that won't actually be decorated. So there's been quite a bit of work that our team did to make these work in the best way possible. So we'll take a look at a few of these. So let's take a look at the ornament here. We'll jump in and say start designing. Okay, we can choose Add Design. And let's see, not sure if I have a suitable image here. Let me do Upload Design. I have something here. Let's try that design here. Okay, so you can upload your graphic, and as you fill that space, you'll notice again it's going to be masked off to just the part of the product that would actually receive that sublimation image. So it's pretty cool the way the team has gone in and set up all those masks for you. So it's going to save you a tremendous amount of work, and anyone who's set up a similar product in DecoNetwork knows how much work it is to actually not just make that custom mask for the decoration area, but also getting it to line up accurately. So the team has done a great job of getting those pretty well aligned for you. Okay, so we can take a look at the next product here. This one is a phone stand. It's a two-part phone stand, so let's take a look at how this will function. Okay, and I did want to highlight, so this is kind of the image that we've worked with Conde for them to provide us so that we have a suitable surface here in the online design tool. But if you notice on their website, this is kind of the preview image, and that's the same preview image that we use in our system here. When you're looking at the product in the products list or anything like that, we use more the marketing image. But in the design tool, again, we need that flat surface so that the customer can go in and drop their design, and it actually looks right. So, through that partnership with Conde, they've been able to start providing us these flat images, which is what we really needed to get these products into our system. So once again, let's see how it would work for this one. So we'll do Add Design, Upload Design. We'll choose this image here. Okay, and again, we can scale that up, and those are nicely masked to just the right surface that's actually going to receive that sublimation image. So you can see there's a drop shadow down there with the photograph, but our team has not actually applied the print there, since that's not actually the front surface. So these look pretty nice in the designer, and it's going to make it super simple and super easy for your customer to jump in and start dropping their own designs onto these as well. Okay, so we'll do the front as well. And so it'll look something like that. So pretty cool how these all work together. All right, and we'll do a last one here. This is a spiral notebook where the front cover might be sublimated or digitally printed, whatever the case might be. So we'll do Add Design just to see what it looks like. Let me see if I have one here. Okay, so we'll scale that up, and it's nicely masked to the cutouts on that spiral ring, and on the front edge as well, those corners are nicely masked off. All right, so pretty cool stuff. We've added probably about a little over a dozen of these Conde products, and we'll continue to be adding more over time. As we get more of those front-facing images for the products. So we're really excited with this partnership with Conde, and look forward to offering more of these products to our customers. All right, really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into some of our user questions that were submitted. So let me just close these off. Let's jump back into our admin area, and let's jump into these questions. So first one I see here, we're looking at a question from the live chat. Steven's asking about the transfer process. It sounds like he's using the transfer process for, probably heat transfer vinyl. He's asking if there's a way to charge based on the number of colors in the design, similar to what you would do with screen printing. So the answer for that, Stephen, is really we don't currently support vinyl. The process that we have today, which we call transfer, it's designed for primarily full color pre-printed transfers, either screen printed or digitally printed transfers. It's meant to work similarly to what the rhinestone template process does. So we went over rhinestone, and I think maybe even transfer either last week or the week before here on the tutorial sessions. And what I explained is the way these are kind of designed to work is, um, you know, in the example of the rhinestone, you create a design that looks like a, rhinestone design. I can even do the search that we did last week. Okay, so it would look something like this. You designed this in your rhinestone application. You save that out as a PNG, and you then upload that into DecoNetwork. Um, Once that's a stock design in your DecoNetwork system, you're able to associate a price with that rhinestone design. Let's say, that's a $10 design based on how much material I use and things like that. And really, that's the same way that you would use transfer, right? These are pre-printed transfers. So maybe you have, let's try and searching for pre-printed transfer. So usually these are maybe custom ordered, but you can also buy some, already existing designs. Let's say this one here is something that's already designed and you can order it as a pre-printed heat transfer, right? So you would download this maybe from your sourcer, upload it into DecoNetwork, assign a price to it, um, right? And so that's the way the transfer process is meant to work. It's a design that you might associate a price with. Um, but we do have, customers wanting to work with a vinyl process, which we don't currently have support for. And because of the nature of vinyl and the fact that you do perhaps want to charge based on number of colors, um, usually people that work specifically with vinyl end up either using the screen print process for vinyl if they're not using screen printing for screen printing, or they'll use a process, like transfer. And rather than charging by color, they'll charge by area, so square inches. So that's not charging, based on whether you're using a red vinyl or a green vinyl, but you're just calculating the square inch area of, total, let's say total vinyl being used and charging that way. So there is a compromise that has to be done there simply because we don't currently have the support for a vinyl process. So you're either A, using screen printing, if that's free for you, you're not using it for that process, you can go ahead and kind of rename the screen printing process to vinyl, set up a price table based on number of colors and go with that. Or the alternative, use a process like transfer and do an alternate pricing like, based on a square inch area. All right, so hopefully that answers that. Let's see, we've got another question here from Ruben in the chat. He's asking kind of a follow-up on the Conde products. Uh, He's saying on the Conde products, a bleed area is needed. How did we set that up? So we've done the print locations for the most part straight to the edge on those. As far as a bleed, you could always adjust the artwork that's provided from your customer if that needs to be extended. Um, I guess that's good feedback. We may need to take that back to the team. I'm not sure what specifics are provided from Conde to us in terms of, what's the bleed requirement on each of these products or anything like that. So I know they've provided us the dimensions of the specific product lines, but as far as bleed, again, I'm not sure what all has been provided to us on that end. So that's good feedback, Ruben. I'll take that back to the team to make sure we're considering all those aspects. Okay. Great. So let's jump into some of the blog questions that we received here. Um, so we've got a question from Martin. I did see this question. Hopefully, Martin's here on the session and can add some clarification. His question is, how do you change the default shipping box size? I wasn't quite sure what you were referring to there. Uh, I think I have an idea, but I did just want to get clarification. So if you're in Martin and you have some clarification on your question about shipping box size, that would be great. And then we'll follow up with Barry's question. Barry's asking about a couple questions from Barry. So first one, how to edit the blank product view widget. Let's tackle that one. So for that, we're gonna go ahead and manage my primary site here. and we're going to jump into the web page builder. So anything having to do with page modification, uh, editing of your on-site widgets, that's being done through Edit Website, and then Website Pages to bring up the Website Pages editor. Okay, so here from the Website Pages editor, to get to the page that Barry was referring to, the View Blank Product page, you're going to click on the Pages tab on the left-hand side. From there, you're going to jump into Product, and you're going to see all of the different product pages that you can configure. So we've got all of them set up here. View Design, which you get when you're going through the Designs page and you select a design. Design on Product is one step further. You select the design, and then you choose which product you want to apply that design to. And then we've got the most common View Decorated Product and View Blank Product. So if you choose View Blank Product, that's going to take you to the View Blank Product Details page, where you can go in and start modifying that widget. Okay, so here's the page here. If you hover over the page widget, you can click, and it's going to open up the the properties panel for that widget, where you can start customizing. There's a lot of different customization options for these page widgets, just because there's a lot of display elements that you can turn on and off, like whether you want to display the brand of the product, that's an option. Um, Whether you want to display the product name, the description of the product, the sizing information, all of that is configurable here from the properties panel. You do also have some options to change the kind of primary display of the product itself. You can choose which side of the page it's displaying on, what size it's displaying at. So you can go small, which I think is about 300 by 300 pixels. You can do medium at 400 by 400, or you can take it large all the way to 600 by 600 pixels. All right, you can also determine where the additional view thumbnails are going to display. So front, back, if you have side views, things like that, you can determine where those will display. And then the size of those is also configurable as well. Okay, so you can customize this page quite a bit, which, if we have some users, older users that were used to the system before we came out with the DecoNetwork 8 page builder, this is just awesome, the amount of flexibility that we've been able to offer with this new page builder. All right, really cool stuff. Thanks for that question, Barry. We have a question from Carter family through the chat. How can you change the color of the Start Here button? Um, Start Here. I'm not sure if you might be talking about the button. I think it's the button on the default banner that's set up on a new website. Let me go to my home page here. I don't know if I have that default banner anymore, but let's take a look. So I think it looks something like this. So if I go into the widgets panel and drop in a button, I think it looks something like that, and it says Start Here. Right, so how do you change the color on that? Okay, so clarification there, start designing. So let's just cover changing the color of a custom button. So if you drop in a button widget, you can always go into the design tab of the properties panel and change the background color there. What you're actually doing here is overriding. So um, I'm overriding the default color of my buttons to red for this instance of a button. But really, where your colors are coming from are from the style editor. The style editor is found under Design tab. From there, you'll choose Style Editor, and this is really the style of your site across all pages. So the system's pulling from these fonts, these font sizes, these colors that you've specified in your style editor, if you scroll down, there's a section for buttons. And there's different buttons called out here, like the add to cart button, a standard button, a minor action button, an important action, and a hero action. So all of these can be customized by clicking that button type and then specifying the either the background color, the text size, padding, border width. All of those attributes can be customized. Um, I don't recall off the top of my head which one controls the start designing button, but if we jump back to take a look, product, view blank product. I believe it's either the standard button or it might be the important action button. We could try and double check here. Okay, so we'll go design, style editor, scroll down, and I think it's going to be the important action. We could try double checking here. So let me change that color to maybe a red. Yeah, so it's the important action style in the style editor is what's controlling the start designing button. So to change that, you go into design, style editor, scroll down to the button section, and change the color of your important action. Right? That's not just the start designing button. There may be other buttons in the system that are considered important actions, and those are going to share the same style as the start designing button. All right. But yeah, so I guess you could call them different classes of buttons that we have throughout the system, and you can control the style of each class through that style editor. All right, cool. Thanks for that question. Uh, so for now, we're going to jump back to the blog. I do want to make sure to get through everyone's questions. So we covered Barry. There is one additional question from Barry, and he's asking about affiliate stores. So he's creating some affiliate stores, and he's wondering about domains. Specifically, he wants to know how to secure an affiliate store's primary domain without having to create a secondary domain and redirecting it to the original. So I think I know what Barry's getting to, um, and we can go ahead and walk through it. If we go into websites and we manage one of my affiliate stores here, let's see, which one can we manage? Let's do this one, the new football store. Okay, so if we manage that and jump into domain settings, we can take a look at what Barry's describing. So affiliate stores operate through one of the system domains by default. Let's say if you're using the default DecoNetwork domains, that's going to be like Deco Apparel, Deco Printing, Deco Embroidery, whatever the case might be of what was chosen. Um, it'll use one of those. It's also possible for you as the admin to set up additional store domains under websites store domains. So you can add in, chris'sprintstores.com. And so now someone signing up for an affiliate store could have, uh, you know, joe's.chris's.printstore.com, whatever the case might be, right? So you can add your own store domains in as well. This ability that we recently added, maybe halfway through the year or so, for being able to turn on SSL security for your websites is only available for what we would call custom domains. And that comes in conflict with a site's default URL being a system domain. So here in this example, my newfootball.decoapparel.com is a system type domain. And so I don't see the option to enable SSL for it. And really, this is kind of due to a couple reasons. One is um, the service that we use to provide the the free SSL certificates, Let's Encrypt, does have limits on number of certificates that can be issued for a top level domain in a certain period of time. So let's say I set up 100 web stores and I need to issue SSL certificates for all of those. I start going through my list, and let's say we offered that ability to go ahead and turn on SSL certificates for system domains, and you've got it, like I said, 100 web stores. So you're going through, you're turning on SSL for all those domains, and uh, you know, after doing about a dozen of them, you run into an error, no longer able to issue certificates. The limit has been reached for this domain. So um, there is an issue with again, limits on how many certificates can be issued per domain. So the issue or the limit would run in once you have, let's say, a certain number of subdomains. So like in my case, I have newfootball.decoapparel. If I also had, Joe's Football, Lion Football, all these different stores, those are considered subdomains of my top level domain, deco-apparel.com. And so again, I'm going to hit that limit if I start trying to create certificates for those. So that's one of the reasons that we do why we do it. Um, and there is a workaround, which is to kind of add your domain as a custom domain rather than adding it as a system one. Um, and that works because simply we do offer the ability to enable it for custom domains, and so that's really the workaround that we would suggest. Um, it works also in terms of the limit because that's a manual process, and so you're less likely to run into those limits when you're kind of one-off turning it on SSL for a specific site by switching to a custom domain and then turning it on. So it just works out better in terms of preventing you from hitting that limitation. All right. And so what Barry is getting at, if I think we covered it previously, but I'll just kind of walk through it. Let's say I did want to enable SSL for my new football store. What I could do is I could copy that domain. I'll go into to edit that default store domain, and I'll change it to something else that I don't want, like let's say placeholder 001, right? It can be anything. Um, what I'll then do is come down here to the Add Custom Domain section and drop in that custom domain that I want for my site. Once it gets added in as a custom domain, I now have the ability to enable SSL for it. And so this should work. Keep in mind if there's quite a bit of people doing this, especially for the DecoNetwork provided domains, you may still run into that limitation of limits of certificates issued per top level domain. But if you're doing it for your own domain, like you might have barry'sshirts.com, you're less likely to run into that issue, right? Because you're the only one creating stores with that domain. All right, so yeah, good question, Barry, but really there's no workaround for it. It's that way for specific reasons that may change down the line when we have more flexibility with that service that we're using. But for now, that's the best way to do it. All right, thanks for raising that question. All right, so we've got a Martin here in the chat. He's got clarification on his question about shipping box size. So great to have you in, Martin. And let's see. So you're saying um, he has a specific box size that they use in their shipping department, 26 by 19 by 14, and that's larger than the packing box that DecoNetwork uses. So if he's shipping 1,000 shirts, DecoNetwork would estimate, I guess, maybe more boxes, uh, more packages than he would actually need from his shipping department. Um, so he wants to be able to enter in different box size dimensions when calculating the shipping. Okay, so we can definitely take a look at that. We don't have the ability to modify the box size, but what you do have the ability to do is to set shipping dimensions for your products. So we can take a look at that. All right, so if we take a look at the Business Hub, we can see what Martin's kind of getting at. Let's say I start a new order here and I start dropping some product into it. As I'm dropping products into it, DecoNetworks is actually starting to calculate a package dimension. And let's see, I think I'll need to turn on a live shipping method for us to actually see this. So let me jump into shipping methods. Let's see, I'm just checking to see if I've got my credentials in here. So we'll do, let's see. Okay, so we'll try a couple of these methods from FedEx and UPS, see if it goes through. I'm not sure if it's going to go through just because I am often switching between different countries for testing while helping out clients. So I'm not sure uh, which countries those credentials are valid for. So let's try it here. Okay, so we'll turn these on. Let's go back into Business Hub. Let's see if it'll work by just reselecting that customer. Okay, there we go. So we've got standard from UPS and FedEx Ground, and we're getting this package dimension. And that's, again, determined by DecoNetwork looking at the products included in the order and trying to fit them into, really, the system tries to do it into the smallest box possible. It does depend on, which products you're including and things like that. But so we'll essentially build the box size out of the products that are included in the order. The other thing to consider that you do have access to do, Martin, is when you're going to ship the order. So I have an order ready for shipping here. When you go to record shipment, you can actually specify the package dimension at that time. So if you are using someone like UPS uh, and you want to be able to purchase the postage here from within Business Hub, you can enter in your final package dimensions, your final weight, regardless of what DecoNetwork calculated, get the rates for that specific package dimension, and then pay for that postage. So at the time of recording the shipment, you do have access to change the package dimensions, but for the estimate, we're just going to take the products and determine, what's the smallest package that all these products could fit into. All right, so hopefully that adds some clarification. Okay, so Adrian's asking here in the chat about spiritware stores. So he's creating some Spiritwood stores, and he's doing the fulfillment on the orders. He's asking about production time. So when it comes time to do the production for the orders submitted through that Spirit stores, he's wondering what's the best way to get essentially a consolidated list of all of the quantities of, let's say, a specific product, so that it makes easier to run the production. Okay, so we can take a look at that. There's a couple options that you could use. Um, One way would be to do it through a report. So in the admin area, under reports, you have the ability to go in and say export orders and use a CSV export. So export orders is a spreadsheet essentially that gives you the ability to do a date range. So let's say on that Spareware site, you accepted orders from, let's say, October 1st through November 1st, right? So you select that date range. You're going to want to select option 2, which is order line items. So what this is going to do is it's going to include uh, one row in this spreadsheet per product in every order. So I'm going to get essentially an itemized list of all of the products that were ordered during this date range. So that, that's going to help you to build out a report about, how many products or how many quantities of each product in which color were ordered. Right, so you can go ahead and save that out. I'm not sure how many orders I actually have through that date range, so we'll see how good of an example this report is. But okay, so once that report generates, let's see where that is. It's here in my downloads. We'll open that up in Excel. Okay, here it is. So here's the report. Not many orders within that date range in my test system, but you get the idea. So we'll expand out here to fill the cells. And again, you're going to get one row per product. So you can see here, for this product here, the 3930R, you can do maybe a sort by size, sort by color, um, and you could even do a chart or a graph to kind of visualize this information. So it does require some massaging of the data, but you get it all in this Excel file. And then from there, you can kind of clean it up, uh, maybe do some automatic formulas to help you determine, how many quantities of each product and each size. If it is a decorated product, the product name column will be the decorated product name. If it's a blank product purchase, it'll be the blank product name. So even if it is for those Spirit stores, it'll include the decorative product name, so you can filter by that. There's no option to do a filter by store. You can do a filter by date range, which is going to include all your stores. However, there is, again, a store column that you can turn on. So you can do the filtering by store inside of Excel. So you can just filter out, orders that are either in a specific URL or have a specific store name. So that filtering certainly is possible once you download that information. Okay, so I would say this is probably the fastest way to do it because you have all the raw data there available to you. Um, in Business Hub, there unfortunately isn't a consolidated worksheet. If we take a look at the production section, each order is going to have its own separate worksheet. You can bulk select multiple orders. So let's say I'm here in my production screen. I could filter by store by typing in the store's URL in that column. And let's say I only want to see orders from my main site here. So I'll type in that URL and hit search. So that's going to go in, filter those results. Once I have filtered results, I could go in and say select all orders and then download selected worksheets. So that would be a way for you to bulk download all of the worksheets for all of the orders for that site. But again, those are individual worksheets. So depending on how you want to handle it. Um, both ways will give you kind of the information that you're after, but I think the report gives you a lot. It gives you the information in a way that it's much easier to work with and generate the totals that you're actually after. All right, thanks for that question, Adrian. All right, so let's jump back to the blog here for a couple more questions. Okay, so we've got a question from Diane Collins. Um, she's kind of asking a bit of a broad question here, um, sort of on process regarding decoration processes, but also uh, she has some comments about the new Conde catalog that we've just added, and she's looking to start adding sublimation into her business. So on that question, she's asking, how do we recommend adding different varieties of designs which could be used for sublimation? Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and answer that. So yeah, as far as designs, the best way to add your designs is if you have a lot of them, which I think you mentioned, you have quite a bit of different designs, and you're looking to get those into the system. Um, we do have a bulk upload option. So if you go into your admin area and you jump into the stock designs page, under the add design menu here on the top right corner, there's an upload multiple designs option. And this allows you to take a folder of designs that you might have stored locally and upload it into the system. Really what you want to do is take that folder, organize the designs into folders, which would then be turned into categories. So, you have a folder, let's say Christmas designs, a folder for school designs, whatever the case might be. You'll organize those, and you could even have subfolders, like holidays, and then within holidays, you'll have Christmas, Easter, whatever the case might be. Again, you'll file your designs into the corresponding folders. Then you'll take the contents of that organized folder and you'll create a zip archive. I can show how to do that in Windows here. So if you're on a Windows PC, you can select multiple files, right click on those, and if you go into the Send To menu, there's an option for compressed zip folder. On a Mac, I think it's similar. You select multiple files, you right click, and then I think there's a compress files option, which will give you a zip archive. Okay, so once you have that zip archive, you can come into this bulk upload option, click the choose file or the browse button, and pick that zip archive. So once it's selected, you can come in here and determine some of these options. So which category it's going to go into. If you choose no category, the system's just going to take a look again at your zip archive and determine what the folders are there, and then replicate those folders into categories. You can also determine whether you want customers to be able to select colors. This is only relevant for raster designs. So if you're uploading vector designs, the consumer will always have the option to select and change colors on the design. If you're uploading raster designs, we don't enable that by default. But if you enable this option here, what we do is we take a raster image, we create a reduced color version of it. So we analyze the image, pick 8 of the most prominent colors in that design, and then make those 8 colors changeable by the user. So it does reduce the amount of colors in your image. So if you have photographic images, you really would not want to turn this on. It's going to distort them quite a bit. But if you have more kind of clip art graphical images, that might work out for you. But the ideal is to actually upload vector images. Um, one for scalability, in terms of applying them across a variety of different products and different sizes, that's going to give you the best result. but also in terms of the ability to change colors on those designs. Vector is going to give you the best result. Okay. Um, so you can also turn on down here at the bottom whether or not certain processes are suitable for the designs being uploaded. So you can have the system handle it automatically. And what we're going to look at in this case is, what type of a design is it? Is it a raster? Is it a vector? How many colors are in that design? Is it a high color image or a low color image? So all of that data we're going to analyze and determine which processes it's suitable for, depending on what you've configured for each process and what types of designs are suitable for it. Okay, so yeah, that's the best way that I would suggest as far as providing your stock images. All right, and then your kind of previous question, Diane, on process. You were wondering how to represent things like glitter vinyl versus solid vinyl or foil. Um, okay, so we can definitely cover that. The way we usually suggest to do those kind of what we might call special inks or special vinyl, um, the system doesn't have a built-in option to, let's say, charge more based on a color or based on, in your case, vinyl, really, we have no support for vinyl at all, but so we'll kind of handle it in terms of, let's say, we'll call it special inks, right, based on the processes that we do already support. So the processes themselves don't have an option to charge an additional cost for an ink, but what you can do is define custom fields. That's the way we've recommended it in the past, and quite a bit of customers using that workaround is we have an option for custom fields, and I think we covered it maybe in a previous session in terms of vinyl material, but so you can create an additional custom field, um, and there you can define different options. So here I've got standard vinyl, glitter vinyl, metallic vinyl, and you can associate a price with each of these options by turning on the affects price option. And so when someone's got a product pulled up into the design tool, um, and they have, and that product has this field turned on for it, the user will be able to select from these different options, and selecting an option that has a price associated with it will increase the price of their order. These prices are per piece. That's an important thing to note. So if I have a 10-piece order and I selected glitter vinyl, that's going to be $10 additional on top of my order. All right, but yeah, this is the way we would recommend to handle those kind of specialty inks or specialty colors. All right, thanks for those questions, Diane. All right, and we do have a follow-up here from Adrian regarding that product report. He's wondering if it outputs individual sleeve name customizations. Uh, he mentions that those were added to the product as a custom field. Custom fields, I don't believe are part of that report. We can go ahead and double check, but off memory, I don't think they are. Let's go in. Let's choose reports, export orders, and then choose settings. If we look at the settings, we can click the select order line item columns and check if custom fields is one of the options here. Okay, you know what? So that information would come through now that I'm looking at the field column headings here. That data is going to come through under the options column. So it's not separated out as a different column for each custom field, but in the options column, you're going to see a title for each of the custom fields and then the value. So all of the information for any custom fields associated with the product is going to come through down into the options column. Okay, so yeah, you will be able to pull that in through that report. All right, let me double check to make sure we've got everyone's questions answered. We're almost about out of time here, so let's make sure that we've got everyone covered. Okay, yeah, looks like that's it for today, guys. So I do want to thank everyone who joined in and participated. Lots of great questions, and glad we were able to provide some clarity and help on those. So we'll be back uh, on November 28th for the next session. So we are having these tutorial sessions every other Wednesday. Make sure to mark that on your calendar so you can join back in with us. And we'll make sure to cover some additional questions for you guys. Come in with your questions ready so we can just jump right into those and get the ball rolling. If you are watching and you're not yet a DecoNetwork subscriber, I do encourage you to head over to our website, deconetwork.com, sign up for a tour hosted by our DecoNetwork client services team. They'll walk you through the system and show you both the front end and the back end, and you can determine at that point if DecoNetwork is a great fit and see if the benefits are right for you. All right, so thanks everyone for joining in, and we'll catch you on the next one.